skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how. Hold your head up, whoa, hold your head up, whoa.
1972, a year packed with unforgettable hits and hidden musical gems. This was a time when radio waves were buzzing with songs that defined a generation. But what about those iconic tunes that stormed the charts and then, just as quickly, disappeared into music history? Today, we're taking you on a nostalgic ride through 15 underrated one-hit wonders from 1972. Some will make you smile, some will surprise you, and others may just leave you humming for days. Ready to unlock the vault? Let's dive into the sounds that made 1972 so unique. 1. Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking Glass. In a bustling harbor town stands the fictional barmaid Brandy, catching sailors' eyes with her warm smile and kind heart. This 1972 mega hit by Looking Glass shot to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, shaping an entire summer for listeners across the country. But for all its success, rumors have long swirled about the real identity of Brandy. Some suggest she was based on a New Jersey barmaid. Others argue it was a composite of loves lost at sea. Behind the scenes, the band's sudden fame didn't last. Ego clashes reportedly sparked tensions. Lead guitarist and co-vocalist Elliot Lurie found himself unexpectedly pigeonholed as the Brandy guy. They never replicated this high point, and as the single's shimmer faded, so did Looking Glass. Yet the memory of that unstoppable chorus, Brandy, You're a Fine Girl, continues to pop up in movie soundtracks like in the galaxy of The Guardian and nostalgic countdowns. But the early 70s were also marked by rebellion. If Brandy captured the sweetness of everyday romance, Sunshine threw open the door on deeper frustrations, particularly those aimed at the government. 2. Sunshine by Jonathan Edwards.
Sunshine, my only sunshine, you make me happy when sky.
1971 gave birth to a folksy tune that soared into mainstream consciousness by early 1972. Sunshine by Jonathan Edwards. Its breezy melody masked an undercurrent of anti-establishment sentiment, reflecting the distrust many young people felt toward authority during the Vietnam War era. In a twist of fate, this track only saw the light of day because another master tape got erased by accident. Edwards needed a replacement, so he pulled out Sunshine, a tune that had been sitting on the sidelines. No one expected it to become the definitive protest light anthem, but it resonated perfectly with the sense of disillusionment brewing at the time. Suddenly, the accidental track was climbing the charts, and Jonathan Edwards was headlining concerts. Yet after Sunshine, he struggled to match its success. Some speculate that he simply wasn't interested in chasing hits at the cost of authentic artistry. Others point to the chaos of the early 70s music scene, where labels sometimes forced artists into directions that just didn't fit.
Tells me I better get in line. I can't hear a word he says.
Now that we've seen sweetness and rebellion, it's time to dive into heartbreak territory. Love can be uplifting, or it can become an all-consuming passion that drives a musician to the brink. 3. Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. In the pantheon of classic rock, Layla is legendary for its wailing guitars and raw, passionate plea to an unattainable woman. But behind that iconic riff lies a tangled web involving Eric Clapton, Pattie Boyd, and her then-husband, George Harrison. Clapton fell head over heels for Boyd, a situation loaded with conflict, heartbreak, and more rumored drama than your average love song. Fueling the mystique was Clapton's creative collaboration with guitarist Duane Allman, who added that searing slide guitar that gave Layla its spine-tingling edge. Most listeners in 1972 only heard a storm of emotion, but insiders whispered about Clapton's near-obsessive infatuation, an infatuation that eventually led to real-life heartbreak, rock star indulgences, and tension in social circles. For fans, the personal drama only added to the allure. Layla soared on re-release in 1972, capturing hearts with its scorching intensity. If you're already humming that chorus, stick with Rock Inferno for more deep dives like this. There's plenty more to come. 4. Nice to Be With You by Gallery.
Oh, it's so nice to be with you. I love all the things you
If Layla is heartbreak and longing. Nice to Be With You is a sunny walk through the park. Written by Jim Gold, this 1972 feel-good anthem easily lodged itself in the public consciousness thanks to a warm melody and sweet, genuine lyrics. People who were reeling from the darker edge of the Vietnam era found a sense of relief in Gallery's breezy reassurance that sometimes, just being with someone can be enough. The track's success felt like lightning in a bottle. While it soared to the upper ranks of the charts, the band was never again able to replicate that summertime magic. Some fans say that's partly why it stands out to this day. Nice to Be With You is forever frozen in that specific 1972 vibe, gentle, optimistic, and oddly comforting. It's the kind of tune that stirs up nostalgia at every generation's backyard barbecue. But if Gallery's single was the sweet dessert of early 70s pop, the next track dipped back into dramatic territory. Soft rock heartbreak can sometimes spark just as much devotion as a rock epic. 5. Precious and Few by Climax.
Precious and few are the moments we two can share.
Released at the tail end of 1971 and riding the wave into 1972, Precious and Few was a soft rock love ballad that soared to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Penned by Walter D. Nims, it featured Climax's lead singer Sonny Geraci delivering vocals that hovered between delicate confession and soaring romantic plea. Despite its commercial success, rumors circulated that behind the scenes, creative clashes and inconsistent support from their label hampered Climax's momentum. They never again reached such lofty heights, fading by the mid-1970s. Yet for a few shining months, Precious and Few became the slow dance anthem at high school proms across America. That ephemeral success stands as a reminder of how quickly the era's musical tides could turn. Love, heartache, joy. The early 70s had it all, but not every big track was about romance. Some carried a defiant spirit, encouraging listeners to press on, even when the going got tough. 6. Hold Your Head Up by Argent.
Hold your head up, whoa, hold your head up, whoa.
In a decade that churned out no shortage of rock anthems, Hold Your Head Up by British rock group Argent felt positively electrifying. Its soaring organ solo, delivered by band founder Rod Argent, captured the spirit of defiance that echoed throughout 1972, when social and political unrest still hovered in the background of everyday life. The repeated refrain to hold your head up reminded listeners to stay resilient, no matter the storm. Music insiders note that Argent members sometimes butted heads over creative direction. Some wanted to pursue more radio-friendly styles, while others were determined to stay progressive. The single's runaway success pulled them into the mainstream, at least briefly, but the band never quite achieved another smash at that level. Still, Hold Your Head Up remains a go-to track for all those moments when you need an extra shot of courage. And speaking of uplifting experiences, 1972 was also a year that gave us instrumental hits so catchy they hardly needed words to stick in our heads. 7. Joy by Apollo 100. Apollo 100, a British-based instrumental group led by Tom Parker, took a 1723 composition by Johann Sebastian Bach and turned it into something fit for the pop charts. Their version, dubbed Joy, was a wildly fresh mashup of classical lines with modern instrumentation, riding an upbeat tempo that caught listeners off guard. The track soared to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, an astonishing feat for an instrumental rework of a centuries-old piece. The success of Joy fed into a growing fascination with synthesizers and electronic keyboard music. Tom Parker, who had a knack for reimagining classical tunes, sometimes hinted in interviews that the group was pressured to replicate the formula for more hits. Yet fate had other plans, and Apollo 100 never secured another single anywhere near the status of Joy. Their ephemeral triumph, though, highlighted an appetite for experimental sounds that was growing among mainstream listeners. Where Joy warmed people up to the wonders of keyboard-based innovation, another instrumental arrived that truly sounded like it belonged in a futuristic dance club. 8. Popcorn by Hot Butter. Written originally by Gershon Kingsley, Popcorn took on a life of its own in 1972 when Hot Butter, led by keyboardist Stan Free, released an electrified version that soared up charts around the globe. Its bubbly, bouncy electronic melody was so unusual that it felt as if a robot DJ had invaded radio playlists. People either loved it or hated it, but they definitely remembered it. Syndicated rumors claimed the track was tested at dance clubs, and the results were so positive that radio stations rushed it into heavy rotation. Before long, Popcorn was inescapable, featured in commercials, TV spots, and eventually even video games decades later. Still, Hot Butter found it difficult to replicate that same spark, leaving Popcorn as a prime example of an earworm phenomenon. Huge in its day, rarely matched by a follow-up, 1972's musical buffet was anything but predictable. From heartfelt ballads to rebellious calls for unity, and from classical pop fusion to electronica-laden dance. Next up, we step into the realm of international flair, where language barriers and oceans didn't matter when a tune was catchy enough. 9. How Do You Do by Mouth and McNeil.
How do you do? I thought when I...
Europe produced plenty of global hits in the 70s, and Dutch duo Mouth and McNeil were right at the center of that phenomenon with How Do You Do. Originally released in 1971, the track took a bit of time to cross the Atlantic, but when it did, it landed at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, an impressive feat for a foreign pop act. Its na-na-na-na-na chorus burrowed into listeners' brains and refused to budge. American DJ Jim Connors was rumored to have played it nonstop in a promotional blitz that led to skyrocketing sales. Some behind-the-scenes chatter suggested that the duo's flamboyant style, paired with Maggie McNeil's powerful voice, caught the eye of TV producers, culminating in a push for even broader exposure. While they enjoyed further success in Europe, including an appearance in Eurovision, they never again cracked America's top 10. 10. Beautiful Sunday by Daniel Boone.
Sunday morning, up with the lark. I think I'll take a...
One of the sunniest pop singles of the early 70s, Beautiful Sunday had an irresistible innocence. Daniel Boone, real name Peter Lee Sterling, co-wrote this ode to relaxed weekend bliss with Rod McQueen, releasing it in 1972. Audiences in multiple countries found themselves humming along to the bright, bouncy refrain. Beautiful Sunday hit number 15 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and soared even higher in countries like Japan and Germany.
Beautiful Sunday.
The record label wasted no time in trying to recreate the formula, but none of Boone's subsequent tracks came close to matching the unstoppable positivity of Beautiful Sunday. Some music historians claim the track's success was in part due to a hunger for uplifting tunes, coming off the tensions of previous years. Whatever the reason, it remains a staple in oldies playlists, capturing that fleeting sense of carefree weekend joy. But not every highlight of 1972 was so carefree. Next, we turn to a track that took us onto the open road: leather jackets, roaring engines, and a craving for wanderlust. 11. Motorcycle Mama by Sailcat. Nothing embodies the freewheeling spirit of the early 70s quite like a hard-driving, foot-on-the-gas anthem. Motorcycle Mama, released in 1972 by the band Sailcat, is a prime example. The lyrics celebrate traveling the country on two wheels, unburdened by rules or routine. At a time when biker culture was as much a lifestyle as a mode of transportation, the song caught on with rebellious souls looking for an outlet. Led by John Wicker and Court Pickett, Sailcat delivered a single that roared to number 12 on the pop charts, a respectable feat for a debut track. Beyond its chart performance, the album's cover art, designed by Jack Davis, featured detailed illustrations capturing an entire nomadic world. Rumors swirled that the band's label wanted them to adopt an even grittier image to cash in on the success, but internal disagreements cut that plan short. In the end, Motorcycle Mama stands as Sailcat's lone brush with mainstream glory, drifting off into the horizon just as quickly as it arrived. Still, that's downright tame compared to the next track, one that literally got banned from certain airwaves for being too, well, suggestive. 12. Jungle Fever by the Shakachas.
Ay, qué fiebre hay.
Meet the Shakachas, a Belgian-based group who specialized in Latin-flavored funk. Their track Jungle Fever was laced with primal drums, bold brass, and sensual moaning that left some listeners blushing and others enthralled. Released in 1971, It surged onto the US Hot 100 in 1972, peaking at number 8. At first, the BBC refused to play it, claiming the explicit moaning and heavy breathing were too risque. That ban only boosted the track's underground reputation. Intrigued audiences snapped up copies to see what the fuss was about. By the time it earned a gold disc from the RIA, it was clear that Jungle Fever had become a 1972 staple for dance floors everywhere. While the Shakaches never returned to that level of fame in the States, they proved that a little scandal could send a track rocketing up the charts. From the red-hot tension of Jungle Fever, it's time to pivot to something more playful, even comical, yet still loaded with risk-taking. 13. Hot Rod Lincoln by Commander Cody and his Lost Planet Airmen.
Story about a hot rod race. Fords and Lincolns was setting that pace. That story is true.
Country rock rarely gets more fun than Hot Rod Lincoln. Though it was penned years earlier by Charlie Ryan, Commander Cody's version, in 1971-72, put a turbocharged spin on the humorous story of a souped-up Lincoln racing a Cadillac. The entire narrative is part daredevil fantasy, part cautionary tale. They speed, they swerve, and the cops inevitably show up. George Frainfor, aka Commander Cody, and his band hammered out a toe-tapping arrangement that pulled in rockabilly fans and country lovers alike. By 1972, the single had shifted into high gear, peaking at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. Though the group kept performing for years, Hot Rod Lincoln remained their signature track. Some sources claim friction over the band's identity. Were they country? Rock? Novelty? Hindered them from building on that success. Nevertheless, the track's comedic swagger ensured it never truly left the airwaves. 14. Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues by Danny O'Keefe. In contrast to the adrenaline rush of a street race, Danny O'Keefe's Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues offered a sobering reflection on loneliness and regret. Originally recorded in the late 60s, the track found its home on O'Keefe's 1971 album, seeing chart success in 1972. With a gentle acoustic back, life's trials. Listeners found solace in the understated honesty. The refrain about laying low, in small towns or big cities, gave voice to wandering souls who never quite figured out where they belonged. It soared to number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100, eventually getting covered by icons like Elvis Presley, Willie Nelson, and Dwight Yoakam. Yet O'Keefe, quiet and introspective, never chased pop stardom the way some might have expected. To this day, the tune subdued sadness. Let's move on to a bolt of high-voltage energy that flashed across 1972's airwaves, but never fully ignited a lasting career. 15. Thunder and Lightning by Chi Coltrane. Pianist and singer Chi Coltrane burst onto the scene with Thunder and Lightning, a rousing track that showcased her powerful vocals and dynamic keyboard style. Released in 1972, it climbed into the top 20 on the Billboard Hot 100, propelled by Coltrane's fiery stage presence and unrelenting hooks. For a moment, it looked like she might become rock's next big voice. However, circumstances behind the scenes, ranging from shifts at her record label to the oversaturated nature of the 70s rock landscape, meant Thunder and Lightning ended up her lone major claim to fame in the US abroad. She found a decent following in parts of Europe, but mainstream American audiences never connected with a second single the way they had with her dramatic debut. Even so, Thunder and Lightning remains a testament to that spark of raw talent that can captivate everyone for a fleeting instant. 15 songs, 15 moments in the spotlight. Some soared to the top of the charts through sheer melodic brilliance. Others sparked chatter with provocative undertones or rebellious lyrics that perfectly matched the era's social climate. A few arrived entirely by accident. Master tapes were erased, or DJs played something on a loop until the public couldn't resist. Yet each of these artists, for all their quirks and controversies, faded almost as quickly as they arrived. Some still pop up in nostalgic discussions or beloved film soundtracks. Others exist mostly as half-remembered hooks that bring a wave of déjà vu when we hear them at a retro party. Were these songs victims of the ever-shifting musical tastes of the 70s? Did behind-the-scenes scuffles doom them to remain one-hit wonders? Or were they simply lightning-in-a-bottle moments, never meant to repeat? Let us know which of these tracks you think deserved a longer stay in the spotlight, and if you believe there's still some lingering intrigue or rumor out there waiting to be exposed. If you've enjoyed this trek through the hidden corners of 1972's pop wonders, be sure to share your thoughts, like the video, and subscribe to Rock Inferno. After all, there's an endless treasure trove of forgotten hits waiting to be rediscovered, and you never know which improbable story or shocking rumor we'll unravel next.